Welcome everyone. We're really glad to have you joining us on this series of webinars on how to nominate for the New South Wales Training Awards. With us today we've got Eduardo and Amanda from Training Services New South Wales and Megan from 1300 Apprentice. Megan has nominated people over the past to the Training Awards. It's fantastic to have her expertise as part of this webinar. So thanks Megan for joining us. And look, today's webinar is on who can nominate an individual for the New South Wales Training Awards. I'll just give a very brief background on why we're doing this. The New South Training Awards have 12 award categories, and they're divided into two groups: organisational awards and individual awards. The organisational awards are things like large training provider of the year. Organisations can kind of apply directly to the New South Wales Training Awards. The individual awards, however, which are like Apprentice of the Year, Trainee of the Year, School-Based Apprentice Trainee of the Year, they can't apply directly. They have to have a nominator, and that nominator needs to be someone that's actively involved in their actual vocational education training pathway. And so applications are very heavily dependent on motivated nominators like Megan. But unfortunately, we know there are some times where trainees, apprentices, students, their teacher, their trainer, their employer may think that the nomination process is difficult. So they don't nominate them. So the aim of these webinars is to try to demystify the process so that we attract more nominators, and so we attract more people to the New South Wales Training. So that's the aim of it. That's what we're trying to do. So today's focus is on who can actually nominate, and that's broadened a lot. One of the recommendations that came from the review of the New South Wales Training Awards was to broaden the range of nominators so we could attract more people and more applicants. So look, what I'm going to do is we've got a series of questions that we've kind of compiled and we've received. We're going to go through those and just quickly answer those to get a sense of the nomination process. So question number one: who can nominate an individual for the New South Wales Training Awards? Look, there's a wide number, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the various award categories and just identify who can actually nominate those individuals. Now look, if an individual has a training contract, which means they're either an apprentice, a trainee, or a school-based apprentice trainee, or an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander doing one of those three, they can be nominated by the following group. Now this is a much broader group than ever before, so it's fantastic. They can be nominated by their employer, their host employer, their supervisor or mentor, that's the workplace component of their training. They can be nominated by their teacher, their training or their training coordinator from their registered training organisation where they may be doing the off-the-job training component. If they're a school-based apprentice trainee, they can be nominated by their teacher, their vet coordinator, their careers advisor or their principal from the school. If they're employed by a group training organisation, they can actually be nominated by their field officer. And if they're getting support through an apprenticeship network provider, they can be nominated by their industry training consultant. So apprentice trainee and school-based apprentice trainees, this broad range of nominators is fantastic now. So there's a lot more people can actually nominate someone. So if you see an individual that's displaying greatness, that's just showing excellence and outstanding achievement in their pathway, all of those people can put in a nomination to the awards for that kind of person. If the individual is a vocational student and they're not under a contract of training, so they're just maybe doing a vocational course, or an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander doing a vocational course, they can be nominated by their employer, or they can be nominated by their teacher or their trainer from their RTO. If an individual is a vet in school student, they can be nominated by the teacher, trainer or training coordinator from the registered training organisation they're undertaking training for. Or they can be nominated by their teacher, their vet coordinator, careers advisor or principal from their school. So a lot of people can nominate those vet in school students. And if the individual is a vet, trainer or teacher, they can actually be nominated by their registered training organisation, who's their employer. They can be nominated by a colleague. They can actually be nominated by a student. I love this. I mean, so if you've got a really good teacher, a vet teacher that you're really enjoying, you can actually nominate them as a student to the training, which is brilliant. This school principal can nominate a vet teacher trainer. A relevant industry group can nominate them, and actually, probably doesn't happen very often, but vet teachers and trainers do have the capacity to self-nominate. They can nominate themselves, but they must have an endorsement letter from their employer. So that's the list of the kinds of people that can actually nominate an individual for the New South Training Awards, which is a very broad one, much broader group of people, which is fantastic. So look, I'd like to bring Megan in now. Megan, look, in terms of nomination process, you've done it many times. I'm just wondering, how does that process help you discover kind of more about the individual learner and also about your organisation's VET training commitment?
Look, I always learn so much more about the learner when I do the New South Wales Training Award nominations. Often things that I would never have known if it wasn't for the nomination process. Spending time to learn more about the nominee is important because you're going to gain more information, which will help you write a better nomination. 1300 Apprentice are a big supporter of the New South Wales Training Awards and vocational education and training. We've not only nominated, we've invested valuable time, our resources, we've sponsored, we've volunteered, we've participated in the awards to ensure that the trainees and apprentices are recognised and rewarded for their excellence and their achievements, and that they're given the best opportunity to succeed in their careers. More businesses need to get involved.
Absolutely, and I mean, we really appreciate your support, Megan. It's fantastic. Look, Megan, can I ask you another question? What would you say are the key benefits of nominating someone for the awards? I mean, what are the benefits that you get out of the process?
Oh, there's so many. Look, some that I've experienced are it's a way to obviously reward and recognise the nominee's achievements, and it makes them feel valued. It improves the nominee's personal development, their confidence, their career progression. It also gives the nominee an opportunity to stand alongside and share their experiences with other inspirational people and to inspire others, not only in the workplace, but also in the community. Look, if a nominee is invited to attend the awards event that requires long distance travel, they may also be provided with complimentary transport and accommodation to attend the event. And if a nominee wins, they may receive trophies, certificates and prize money. As simple as it sounds, look, the most common thing that nominees say the awards nomination process does for them is that it makes them feel good. Look, as a nominator, we can benefit as well in a lot of ways. It can increase things like your employee productivity, employee motivation. It can help promote a positive workplace culture. It also helps to retain your top talent. And you learn so many more positive things about that nominee, as I said before, that you never knew. Being a part of something that's really inspiring and sometimes life-changing is something really special. Not to mention you also get a free ticket to the event for the nominator if your nominee is invited to attend as well. So a bit of a bonus. There's a lot of things. That's only some of the things. There's just so many things that, benefits in being involved.
Yeah, fantastic, Megan. Thanks for that. And look, just one last question before we move on. Look, what advice would you give to someone that's worried about the amount of time commitment involved in nominating for the New South Wales Training Awards? So they're thinking about it, but thinking, oh no, it's going to take ages.
Well, you've heard me talk about some of the benefits, so that's a big one. Look, it's worth doing. It's worth the investment. Your nominee is worth it. Use your time to show your recognition. Don't leave it to the last minute. Do a little bit each day and get it done before the deadline.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Megan. Look, we'll move on. We've got another question here that we've kind of compiled together for this particular webinar. And the question is, why do individuals need to be nominated for the New South Wales Training Awards? I think it's a really important question because organisations can self-nominate. Look, the reason why the nomination process is there is that it's just allowing someone that's actively involved in that individual's vocational pathway to see greatness in them. It's actually allowing someone to actually see, look, this person's doing really well and I'm going to identify that. It's a good opportunity for an organisation to kind of just learn more about themselves in terms of their commitment, like Megan was just saying, to vocational education and training. But I think most importantly and thirdly, the nomination process adds an extra level of quality assurance for the New South Wales Training Awards, because when you nominate someone for the awards, you do three things. What you're doing is you're endorsing their application, which is really important. You're acknowledging that they meet the selection criteria, and you're actually confirming that they're a worthy candidate. That makes it really easy for judging panels, because when a judging panel is receiving a lot of applications, if that person's been nominated, that's just an extra level of quality assurance for them, knowing that, oh, okay, this person, the nominator's been through them, they've identified that they're great, they're identified that they're doing great things, but also they meet the selection criteria and they're a worthy candidate. So look, it's a really important process, the nomination process. And also, the nominator, when you nominate someone, you almost identifying or saying that you're going to support them through their journey through the New South Wales Training Awards, because when an individual goes into the awards, there's a big commitment if they actually win, because if they win at the regional or the state level, they're going to have to attend award ceremonies, they're going to have to attend a professional development session, 4-day session in Sydney. If they win at the state level, they're going to have to commit to media events and so on. You as the nominator, you're there to actually support them through that process, which really kind of helps them. So look, the nomination process, it covers a whole lot of areas, quality assurance, support to the individual. So I think it's really important that nomination process is in place for individuals. But I think it's a valid question to have asked, why is it in place? So really, in a way, the nominator becomes an advocate for that particular individual. Okay, I'll go on to another question. Now, this question follows on exactly from what we were just talking about. It says, can individuals nominate themselves or self-nominate for the New South Wales Training Awards? Look, the short answer is no. Like we mentioned before, vet teachers and trainers can self-nominate it so long as they have an endorsement letter from their employer, their RTO. But the remaining award categories, no, you can't. You must have that nominator, which gives that added level of quality assurance. Another question that we've got, once again, I think a really important one is, can someone be nominated by a member of their family for the New South Wales Training Awards? For example, could I be nominated by my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, or my grandparents? Look, the nominator is meant to be an independent party. It's meant to be provide that level of independence and that level of quality assurance. So it's not typically acceptable for a member of your family, like mum, to say, look, I really want to nominate you for the awards. But if you're in a situation where you've got an apprentice or a trainee or a school-based apprentice trainee that are working for a family business, and their employer is already probably also their aunt or their uncle, their mother or father, then yes, they can nominate because they're actually actively involved in the actual vocational learning that they're going through. So even though they may be their family, they're also their employer. But only those situations, really. It's if family members can't nominate, you really do have to have that active involvement in the actual vocational training that person's going through. So look, that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover in terms of who can nominate. Look, in terms of a summary, there's a lot of people there that can nominate. And look, there are benefits to nominate. Megan's gone over the benefits of being a nominator. It's certainly worth the effort. Look, besides getting that free ticket to the state awards event, which is an amazing event, what you're doing is you're helping someone get recognised at a regional, state, and potentially if they win the state and they go on to the national Australian awards, they could get recognised nationally as the apprentice of the year or trainee of the year nationally. Very exciting stuff, and that could serve as an incredible launching pad for them. It creates exciting opportunities for them. It could lead to further employment. It could lead to further study. It's certainly it'll allow them to become a vet ambassador, and as an ambassador, just the possibilities are endless for people that take on that role. So super exciting to be a nominator. You really can open up someone's life. So that's pretty much what we were trying to do. Look, I wouldn't mind Megan, just throwing over to you any concluding thoughts you have on the nomination process, who can nominate and what you feel about it.
The Training Services New South Wales website, it has loads of valuable information. If you go to the bottom left-hand column of their homepage, you'll actually find a hyperlink to the New South Wales Training Awards. You click on that, you'll find lots of news, tools, tips, and everything to make it easy for you. So go and check it out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Megan. And look, Eduardo, any last concluding thoughts on the importance of the nomination process and any ideas in general that you have about nominating people?
As Megan said, you start with one criteria today, the next one the next week. Even if you submit, you can still go back and change. Again, the whole reason that we do not allow self-nomination is someone needs to see that magic in you. Someone needs to see that you are indeed worthy of what the program can provide you, that launching pad that we're talking about. And the launching pad is not just for the individual. If you're an RTO, it can help with your enrollments. If you're an employer, you can apply them for other employer awards. So it is a benefit for all parties. And again, that is the whole reason that everyone that is part of your vet training needs to be involved in the process. Fantastic. Thanks so much for that, Eduardo. And look, that brings us to the end of this particular webinar, How to Know Who Can Nominate. I hope you really enjoyed it, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks a lot.